This hell of a ride's not just gonna be over yet. Sanji hissed out and replied to the one that's clearly trash-talking his soup that he made that morning. I thought someone like you would like slop. Makes sense to me, because that's what seems like pigs like. The chef that was arguing with Sanji replied to his comment. Just face it, Sanji, your soup sucks. It's disgusting, he says as he was presumably trying to spit out the remains from his mouth. Sanji said as he was walking up to him, that soup was nothing more than a delicacy. Then there's something wrong with your taste buds. As he was getting closer, one of the other chefs decided to take a sip of Sanji's soup. After he finished taking a sip, he wiped his mouth and then presumably saying, "Ugh, it's gross!" He shouted out as he slammed his spoon on the table. I can't eat this, he said. Then all the other chefs started taking a sip of the soup. And as all of them take a sip, they all start spitting out and saying how disgusting it was. Revolting. This soup is terrible. Disgusting. As each and one of them take a sip of the soup, they slammed their spoons on the table. All of them side-eyed Sanji of how disgusting soup he made. Sanji shouted out, "What the hell is going on, you bastards?" The chef that presumably first started this argument spoke up. We're tired of how you run things. You're a sham of a sous chef, and we all know it. Most of the chefs started speaking up. Can't settle every single disagreement with violence, you know. If the food's bad, we're gonna say so. Sanji growled out in response. What the hell did you say? The old man at the other table spoke up. Don't you forget we're seafaring cooks, so you better not waste a single drop of that soup. Everybody looked at him with a surprised expression. The old man was already almost done with his soup. He was on his last drop. As he finishes it, he stood up. He grabbed his plate and he threw his plate on the floor. You were so lost at this point. Everybody shouted out, Boss! Sanji gritted through his teeth. Old geezer. The old man spoke up. Wretched little dish right there tasted like soup garbage. We serve that trash here, we go out of business. Sanji ran up and grabbed him by his collar and said, Are you really this stupid? How is my soup any different from the stuff you make? How? The old man replied with gritted teeth, You think they're the same? They both glared at each other. The old man finally punched him and said, Don't flatter yourself. Everyone gasped in surprise. The old man said while Sanji glared back up at him, You think you can lecture me on cooking, do ya? Bad chance. I've cooked on seas more than days you've been alive. They both stared at each other for a brief moment, and Sanji got up with his hand on his cheek, presumably from the punch. They stared at each other for one more minute, and then, Damn it! Sanji shouted out as he ran out the door. As Sanji ran out, me and Luffy took a sip of the soup that we had. Luffy finished his soup and started to pour more into his bowl. As he was doing that, he said, What's all the fuss about? This soup's totally awesome! He also spoke up as well. I have to agree with him. This is very good. All of us knows the soup is good, the old man said. Me and Luffy looked behind us to look at him. The old man started speaking again. I know he's an outstanding chef. Everyone on the Baratier knows. Some other chefs started speaking up. Yeah, he's great. Besides some Chef Zeff, that's all we got. That was scary, wasn't it? He seriously snapped. Yeah. As they were saying that, you noticed Luffy had the whole spoon in his mouth to put the soup in. You didn't even have to side-eye him just to hit him. Ow! What was that for? Luffy, can you not be gross for 1 minute and actually listen? Yeah, he said in reply. The old man spoke up again, but that thick-skulled idiot doesn't try to listen to us if we try to reason with him. Hey, listen. Me and Luffy looked at the old man. You said you were looking for a cook for your ship, right? The old man continued. But this is something I don't want to be asking you anyway, but do you mind taking that little brat along with you? Take him to the Grand Line. That would be best for him. The Grand Line is his dream. Jeez, Buzz, you made us put on a hell of a show. I thought he was gonna figure it out because of your bad acting. Your acting was way worse than mine. Everyone started laughing and making fun of how everyone had bad acting. It was true, a lot of them had bad acting. But there's one person that doesn't have good hiding. Well, at least for me. I already noticed Sanji that was looking inside the door window long before anybody else. You already knew that Sanji heard all of the stuff they already said. It's best to let Sanji have his moment. And to let everybody think that Sanji didn't hear that. You smiled to yourself at that. The old man said to Luffy, "So what do you say, kid?" Luffy perked up and said with confidence, "No way." As he said that, the whole room erupted in shock. Of course, you knew why Luffy said no. The old man said in reply, "But earlier you said you needed a cook for your ship. What are you trying to say, that he's not good enough?" Luffy said and replied, "Oh, he's good, and I'll love it if you joined my crew and came with us." As he said that, he took another bite of his food. "But it seems like he wants to stay here and cook with all you guys. You can ask me all you want, but I'm just not gonna say yes," the old man said in reply as he was stroking his mustache. "So you're saying that you can't agree with it until he tells him yourself, is that right?" "That's right. More food, please," Luffy said. The old man said, "I suppose that's fair enough, but who knows that hard-headed brat will ever join up with you. Yeah, once that guy makes up his mind, no one can do anything to change it." "More, please," Luffy said in reply to all of that. All of a sudden, the wall came crashing down. With a fish? A person? You don't know. He also noticed Sanji there, presumably since the fish crashed into him. Until the dust cleared, the other chefs started questioning what that thing was. Until you and Luffy noticed it was just Yasuku getting eaten by a fish. You and Luffy went over time to see what the hubba beluga is. Until Yasuku noticed both of us, and he said and replied, "Oh, hey big bro Luffy. Hey big sis listener." Luffy said, "How come you're alone? Where are the others? Did you find Nami?" Time skip. Yasuko spoke up. "We never managed to catch up with her, but depending on her directions, we figured out where she's going." Luffy said and replied, "I see, so we can bring her back." "Maybe, but if our suspicions are right, then the certain place that she's going could mean certain death for all of us, if we follow her. The point is, we really need your help, big bro Luffy and big sis listener. Please, come with me." "I don't really get it, but I got it, so let's go." "Yeah, let's hurry up," me and Luffy said. Me, Luffy, and Yasuku started walking out the building. As we were walking, Sanji said, "Wait, your dream is foolish, but yet again, so's mine. Now as good a time as any, when I start my quest right now." Luffy turned his head so Sanji can hear him. "Sanji," Luffy said. Before Luffy said anything else, Sanji replied, "I'll be joining your little crew, so you can become king of the pirates." As he said that, Luffy and I looked behind us in shock. You were surprised at what he said. "You hear me? I'll be the cook on your ship." "Alright, what do you say?" Luffy shouted out. "Yeah, of course!" Yasuku said to Luffy, "This is great, big bro Luffy." They both started dancing in exasperation of Sanji joining the crew. You looked back at Sanji and you and him made eye contact. You gave him a small smile and so did he. "Are you guys happy now?" he says to the other chefs. "Sorry, seriously, I'll leave now." Sanji and the other chefs started speaking to each other. You were just thinking to yourself. Time skip. We were about to leave on the spare ship that the restaurant owned. Me, Luffy, and Yasuku were sitting on the boat waiting for Sanji. It was taking a while, but that wasn't a problem. "Big bro cook is sure taking his time," Yasuku said. "Yeah," Luffy said and replied. As they say that, Sanji finally walked it out. Sanji stood there for a moment before continuing walking. Until, "It's time for payback! Here comes Sanji!" Until two of the chefs tried to jump Sanji. As they were coming down on Sanji, Sanji somersaulted backwards, and as they landed on the floor, Sanji used both his legs to kick them. As he finished kicking them, he walked off, and one of the other chefs that were presumably a bystander and said, "Really guys, that was real stupid." Sanji started walking to the boat. As he was walking, all the chefs were looking at him. Sanji finally reached the boat and said, "Let's get going." Luffy said, "You don't need to say goodbye?" "No, it's fine." "Sanji," the old man spoke out from a balcony up above, "take care of yourself, okay?" As he said that, Sanji's expression shifted. Sanji was quivering his lip like he was about to cry. Eventually, tears started to form in Sanji's eyes, until a waterfall of tears started falling down his face. Until all of a sudden, he shouted out, Chef Zeff! In the blink of their eye, Sanji was down on his knees, head on the floor, bowing to Chef Zeff, until he said, "Thanks, you geezer. I'll never forget your kindness. I owe my life to you, old man. So thank you!" As Sanji said in sobs, and sobs became full-on crying. What is this feeling in your chest? It feels like you can't breathe, but you still can. You'll figure it out later. You looked up at Chef Zeff and noticed he was trying to cry. And all the other chefs started crying. Luffy shouted out, "Let's go! Set sails!" As we were going, Sanji shouted out, "I will see you again! I'll come back someday!" As he was saying that, he was waving his hands to presumably say goodbye. And all the other chefs were waving too. As we were sailing off, you went to the other side of the ship, and you looked off to the distance where presumably Nami was sailing to, and you thought to yourself, "What are you planning, Nami? What's your goal?"